We're live! Well, I'm live. Stephen's here. He's just sorting stumming out. The first time I kind of schedule a stream, I actually remembered to do that for 3 o'clock. We're late. It's kind of what we do. If you were looking for professionalism, you're probably looking for another YouTube channel. I think that's fair to say, but Stephen will be here to kind of celebrate Max Verstappen winning the Austrian GP, Red Bull's home GP very soon. Hello, Caroline chat. Hello,
Max!
Gianni. There he is. There he is. He's in chat from there. So I got a tweet.
Whew.
Oh,
I
God.
made it just in time.
You made it. You made it. Was it just in time?
No, I was terribly late.
That's all right. Well, I
Hello.
told them we're late because this is the first time we scheduled a team, and we're fashionably late.
Wait,
because
you scheduled it?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
For 3 o'clock.
Wow.
Well, because someone said they missed it because I didn't schedule it, so it kind of lets people know we're going to be live around about.
And considering how good we are at nailing one time spot, we probably should schedule stuff.
Absolutely, and within 12 minutes of the schedule thing, I think that's pretty good.
I think that's pretty great. Yeah,
I think we're okay.
Hope everyone is doing good though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome to another episode of the F1 podcast, reviewing the Austrian Styria Grand Prix, and then kind of doing a mini preview on the Austrian Grand Prix because we actually forgot last week it was a review preview, so we didn't actually look at all at Styria. But we will remember there is another Grand Prix this weekend, along with an IndyCar race, if that is of interest to anyone. Probably not, because we're F1 fanatics. Probably though, because everyone loves IndyCar.
Oh yeah.
Have you nearly finished the tweet?
Maybe.
I'm running out of stalling material.
Oh, you're running out of it. Triple header. Triple. We've had the second part of the triple. I'm still sad from yesterday's match. Oh, Gianni. It went so wrong on that one. But it did go so right for a Dutch driver, which is Max Verstappen. And I don't know what France did with Austria, but can it give it back, please? Coming weekend mid-Ohio, you're damn right, Carola, and it's going to be a great race, I'm sure. But yeah, Max and Red Bull just had the beating Mercedes.
Initial thoughts?
All weekend, they just had the upper hand, didn't they?
Yeah, it wasn't quite a...
They didn't have an answer to Max. Checo tried something a little bit different.
Yep, nearly paid off. Needed about 1 or 2 laps more.
Yep. And they could have pitted in 1 or 2 laps more, but hey-ho, it doesn't really matter. They got the main points. I think they still come out on top, don't they? I think our first, fourth still beats the second, third, points-wise in the constructors.
I think so, because first is you get significantly more than second. Yeah,
to kind of extend the advantage of that. So, what do they really have to lose?
Exactly. They threw the dice at it.
Because they stuffed Checo's race from the pit stop.
Yeah, went wrong there. As soon as Bottas made the position, that it was always going to be a difficult on-track overtake for Checo to try and put off.
So they had to go and get tyre advantage. But Carola, Max didn't put a foot wrong. Nope. It was superb.
Perfect race.
Superb.
We'll come on to that, though, because we'll do our usual run through the grid. There is a couple of things I want to... But that's kind of for the preview on the state of Mercedes versus Red Bull. So let's kick off with heartbreak. Actually, no, let's get Haas out of the way. Gary was great. Mick beat Mazepin.
Yep, pretty much sums up Haas, doesn't it?
I think Mick got turned round on the first corner, didn't he? And then... still beat Mazepin.
Sounds about right to me.
Don't know. I'm not sure if Nikita did an extra stop or something.
No.
Yeah, Mick is just the better driver, but it's the fact that he got turned around on the first corner and still came back. On to Williams, and that's the heartbreak. George Russell. P8.
Now, 4 real life F1. absolutely gutted for George because he had a fantastic weekend.
Oh,
And
yeah, here we go.
he really did deserve it. For fantasy, though, because a lot of people have George Russell, and I didn't have George Russell, and Ocon was continuing to be a big pile of poo, I was laughing. I was like,
Literally laughing.
yes, it's all gone wrong for that. At least Ocon has scored more points than George Russell this weekend. But in all honesty, because it's not fantasy, it's horrible.
After such a strong race in France, he said it was his best race in the Williams, didn't you say?
Mm.
Coming in P11, no retirements. You actually genuinely thought he's in P8, he was there on merit, and he was going to convert it to points. And
I can't even explain. I feel like there is a voodoo doll out there made of George Russell, and someone keeps stabbing the tires and the car and going, "Ooh, wonder what this one will do." Ooh. I don't even know what it was a retirement for.
Problem was.
I can't remember. Was it electronics? It felt like something like that. I can't even remember.
I remember someone said in the Discord.
But the positive is we go to Austria next weekend, so that is a possibility that George Russell may actually score points next weekend.
Yes, maybe.
If they maintain that pace.
Yeah.
Because it can't really change too much.
Exactly,
within a week.
I think we're going softer tyres, though, aren't we, next week? Or is it harder tyres? One of the two.
Oh, Gianni, I'm sorry. I forgot. The reason I didn't have an F1 shirt on today is because I couldn't believe that I saw an Austria race that was fairly uneventful.
Yeah.
Because it's such a great track. So F1 is dead.
Yeah, I can't. It was some kind of fluid issue. Hydraulics? Is that
Yeah, it looks like hydraulics.
It was quite incredible that they were trying to fix it in the pit stops. You had the guy with the tank trying to inject something into it. I thought that was pretty cool. But obviously they couldn't fix the issue.
No.
So heartbreak there. Nicholas Latifi, after looking so good in qualifying,
nowhere.
P17.
It was nowhere.
So that's Williams and Haas done. On to Alfa Romeo. Giovinazzi P15.
Not a great weekend for the Italian Jesus.
No.
Not a great weekend for him.
Not at all.
But Kimi Räikkönen, on the other hand, had a superb weekend. And I feel a bit gutted for him because I'm convinced he would have got points. But Leclerc was on one. Apparently, driver of the day playing bumper cars gets you driver of the day because he also damaged a bit of Kimi Räikkönen's front wing. Oh, did he? Did he? Sorry, Jacob. Thank you for clearing up. I missed that. So I apologise to the team. I didn't realise that he got a puncture from Gasly going wide.
Jeez, there we go.
So therefore, both Williams drivers had a good weekend, and both were unfortunate.
I know Latifi looked super good in qualifying.
Yeah,
so it doesn't surprise me that his race was hampered.
Yeah, it would make sense from there. So thank you for clearing that one up, Jacob. Ricardo R feels horrible. We'll get on to that with McLaren. But hello, Viandra, and didn't see much of Alfa Romeo, wasn't paying attention. I thought Kimi was quite involved with it. He was, ahead of Leclerc, made Leclerc's life difficult for a bit until obviously Leclerc damaged front wing on that basis. But yeah, I thought Raikkonen had his best race in an Alfa Romeo this season.
Yes.
I know he scored points, but I think he would have scored points. He didn't. He drove pretty faultlessly. He drove long on that first stint, was competitive, kept Ricciardo, Vettel behind him.
It was the Kimi Räikkönen train, and he kept it going for a while.
Because realistically, looking where Stroll is, looking where Norris is, and looking where Alonso is, he kept Vettel, Ricciardo, and Ocon behind him on merit.
Yeah. For sure. So that's Alfa Romeo. On to Alpine, Esteban Ocon in P14 and Fernando Alonso P9.
Well, Alonso seems to be getting more back in line with F1. We always knew it would happen.
Yeah.
He would improve in confidence there, and he's taken his confidence from the street circuits and is building that into his thing. And Esteban Ocon has taken his strong performances and seems to be going the other way, backwards.
He's taken his bumper contract, gone, life's okay now, and don't need to show up anymore.
No, apparently he's the Adebayor of F1. Plays well up until he gets a contract and then is non-existent for a season. Obviously, there are lots of controversies with Adebayor anyway. But nice little football reference there. If you don't really get it, Esteban Ocon's doing pretty crap.
But I think he was driving so well, and the bump contract didn't come to any surprise. But France and Austria, or Styria, have been very under par.
Yeah, look, it's not going to define his season. He can still have a very good season from here. But considering how well he'd been doing, the pace he'd been showing in qualifying was starting to looking like, consistently beating Alonso on track, which is no mean feat. I know a lot of people saying, well, he's a washed up old man. You shouldn't be using him as a comparison. I think the last couple of races have shown that he's still got it, people. And yeah, Esteban Ocon, it's just frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you really want him to, you want to see drivers do well. And he looked like he'd taken that step forward and then went backwards.
Yeah.
Alpine, what will you expect from Zhao in his FP1? I don't rate Zhao, so not a lot. That's the harsh reality of it. Look, Zhao obviously is a talented young driver. He's not in Formula 2 because of it. I always know people like DeLedder are in F2, so I suppose talent doesn't get you everywhere. But Zhao actually does possess some talent, but I think he is the worst of the guys in the Alpine thing, and I can't see him getting anywhere near F1. So this is more just give him a run out type of thing.
Well, yeah, Sal's in the dreaded Alpine Academy, which don't have any seats till 2023 now. And that's assuming Fernando Alonso is going to have enough after 2 years. So, yeah.
Hello, Zoe in chat.
Hello.
Zhao is just not as good as Oscar. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I would believe on there.
Yeah.
But I round off thing. Rare times to go. Alonso, brilliant drive. I thought.
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
A bit like Kimi.
Yeah,
just in a quicker car, so it was slightly further ahead.
Absolutely, and I think Raikkonen would have been right on the back of Alonso because Tsunoda was there at the end. But
and Alonso had that incident with Sainz where he lost the position because of blue flags.
Yeah. Alonso is maximising the potential of the car.
Yeah.
I think. And he's taken some times. He took some, had a great start in Bahrain, then went down, built his confidence up on the street circuits, and it's another really strong points finish for Alpine. And that's brilliant to see. And as the team to continue to develop and grow and hopefully get in the right direction again, Alpine, it looks really good for that partnership going forward, but less good for the juniors who are maybe hoping for Alonso to flop,
Yes.
that they might kick him out and open up the spot from there. Diego Marquez, yo to you. Zoe, think the lower temps this weekend will help racing, or are we in for another bad race? I hope the lower temperatures do tend to assist racing because I believe it doesn't mean that it's aggressive on tyre wear.
Yeah.
So drivers don't necessarily drive as conservatively, and it's not a go from there. What is the tyre pressure controversy and why are teams squabbing over bending rear wings? We'll talk about that, Arjit Roy, in a little bit. We'll remember that. And do you believe Seven Bottas is done? We'll talk about Sebastian then in Aston Martin.
Next.
And they're next. So, okay, Seb, no. Seb is not done in F1. He was fantastic on the street circuits. I'm surprised.
P12, yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised, but he also had a very good race in France. I just think he didn't have a race where it all clicked together. Couldn't find a balance for the weekend. And yeah, didn't really fall from that. Car road, Diego, that is Spanish. Oh, I'm sorry. Diogo. I do. Spain, Portugal. I've insulted you there. I am sorry.
That's outrageous. Let's cancel this
Marquez.
guy. Get this guy cancelled.
Get me out of there. Get me out of there. Oh, I'm sorry. Strategy was crap for Vettel. Yeah, I'd agree, Matt. Look, I just don't think it was a race there, but I think Vettel has shown enough this year that we've got signs of the old Vettel coming back.
Yeah. He's every race getting better, more comfortable in that car. I know the result doesn't reflect a better performance, but every race for him is progress.
Yeah, and as much as a knock for Vettel this weekend, Lance Stroll, very good weekend.
Yeah. P8 in the end. Decent.
I think Lance Stroll continues to perform, continues to get better and better. He had, well, obviously this Baku was unlucky because I think he was running well, going deep on that strategy there, which would have been interesting to see how it plays out. And he got unlucky, obviously, with the tyre blowout. Maybe knocked his confidence a little bit. Thank you, Diego, for forgiving me on that basis. But yeah, I think that. I think Aston Martin seem to be recovering and well in that kind of midfield battle for those last few points positions. And if they really get together, maybe best of the rest.
Yeah.
In their situation there. I didn't think it was a bad race, but we have such a good season that this looked boring. Yeah, I think we'll come to that on overall thoughts. But yeah, I suppose that's an interesting point to go from that. Two-stop, hopefully, with the softer tyres. Fingers crossed, because multi-stop strategies definitely make more races interesting.
Yes.
Next team.
Whoa, no. Halfway point. Don't forget to like the stream.
Are we those YouTubers now? Might as well ask them to subscribe.
Don't forget to ding that bell.
Do it, because you get to see this face and that face regularly talking about F1.
Okay, that's the halftime show done.
Brilliant. What a halftime show. It was a
I know race. I could do McLaren, but I think I'll leave McLaren later because Lando did so fantastic performance. So we're going to AlphaTauri. Pierre Gasly, a victim of Charles Leclerc on the first lap. We'll talk about that a bit more when we come on to Charles Leclerc, but obviously nothing Gasly could have really done. His race was over. Bish, bash, bosh. Goodbye, Gasly.
Tsunoda got points.
Yuki P10. And a great race from Yuki.
I wouldn't go as far as great race, but I think he's definitely...
No, okay, maybe great's a bit... For Yuki, I think it's a great race.
I think he's started off really high. He's had a few knocks, and now he's starting to find his feet again.
I don't think
he's taken a step back.
He had a good Bahrain, but after that, it was all downhill.
Yeah.
All downhill.
Correct.
Since Baku, where he's kind of picked it back up. So
Look,
I think this is a very positive result for Yuki Tsunoda to get a point in that.
I do think it's a very positive result, but I do also think that, he should have been challenging a Stroll rather than getting stuck behind an Alonso.
Okay.
So I think it's a good race, but I think that AlphaTauri had more pace in it. But Yuki's a rookie. He's still learning his trade. You can't be too harsh to him. I think it's a good race, but I think a point is the least they should have expected. And if Raikkonen didn't get damage, I don't think he gets the point, because Raikkonen was basically on his tail for the majority of the race.
Okay.
So that's what I would say. I think he's going from there.
Expect more from Yuki.
What's more likely, rain when it's predicted, or Leclerc to get in a penalty?
Let's go on to
Ferrari.
Yeah, we'll do Ferrari.
Let's go Sainz. Let's start positive.
Let's work our way into Leclerc.
Do you want me to do Leclerc or you to do Leclerc?
I have things to say on Leclerc, but we can both do Leclerc. I can do Sainz if you want.
No, I'll do Sainz because I'm happy to big him up.
Okay.
And then you go in and go from there. I thought Carlos Sainz, really good race. Really good race for Ferrari. I think, Carlos Sainz, for me, drives the day. I know those polls are a little bit rubbish and they get affected by fans of drivers. They're not necessarily great. But I think Carlos Sainz was definitely more deserving than Charles Leclerc. I think, he started outside the top 10, did he?
I think it was 13th in the end.
Yeah, and worked his way on strategy.
12th.
Worked his way on strategy up to kind of P6. obviously, because he started so far back and Norris had started in third, it was always going to be difficult to there. So I think he maximised the result that he could have done for the day. And again, he just looks like he settled into that Ferrari team so well and is a serious internal challenge to Charles Leclerc.
Yeah,
and he makes, and as much as I love Leclerc, he makes less mistakes than Charles.
Yeah.
He looks like a driver who has honed his skills, got the early mistakes out of his career, and he now looks a well-defined, solid driver in Formula One. And he just kind of he's doing what he started to do in McLaren, which is just consistently getting the best result he can in the car and staying out of trouble.
He's been one of my surprises of the year so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I know, what was it, Cranky was quite into Carlos Sainz going, hey, guys, he's not as good as what everyone thinks he is. And you know what? I think Sainz is going a long way to prove doubters wrong. Everyone going to Ferrari was like, he's just going there to be Charles's bitch.
Yeah.
But he's more than that. And, hey, if Ferrari get a car together, Sainz could be a guy competing for race wins, podiums, and maybe even championships, depending on how good a car Ferrari builds.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
wasn't
brilliant.
he lapping quicker than Lewis as well? Because he unlapped himself from Lewis.
Yeah.
To go on hunt for Lando. It was just a bit too late. So, yeah, incredible pace from Sainz. And I kind of ran off Ferrari's race pace. But Sainz and Leclerc showed it's still there, it's still alive. And they outscored McLaren. They did indeed. But Charles Leclerc, not looking at the first lap. If we just put that aside for one moment, incredible drive. Had to pit from the first lap and then recovered all the way up to P7. Fantastic drive. He is one of the top 5 drivers on the grid. Top 3, I probably should say, but the first lap. It's like, okay, you could say it's a one-off first lap. There's always incidents, but Charles Leclerc is now getting into a habit of being involved in these first laps incidents. Last year, we obviously had Leclerc Vettel. Thinking back to Sochi, we had Leclerc Stroll.
Yeah.
Yep. This year, he took out Gasly. Can we think of more?
Oh, there was the Bottas and Leclerc one in Hungary, but I don't think that was Leclerc's fault. Leclerc seems to be getting in a habit of having contact.
Sakir? Oh, yes. Sakir last year, he took out Max.
Yep. Look, there's just... I think Carol said it there. He tries to overdrive the car. I think Leclerc is just one of those drivers who drives on the edge. And I think he's going through that stage where Max Verstappen went through. And Max Verstappen emerged out a better driver from. And you've got to remember that this is his 4th season in Formula One.
Brazil, 19.
Yep. See, all these,
yeah.
You know, and utterly brilliant driver. But I think he's just on that edge at the moment of he hasn't quite found the boundaries of where to push and where not to push. It doesn't take away anything on arrives. Obviously, for guys who were involved in it, like Raikkonen and Gasly in yesterday's race, deeply frustrating from there. But when Leclerc gets it right, like Max Verstappen gets it right. But again, I think it comes from the frustration of being in a car that you know you can win races. And Leclerc, obviously not this year, but he's been used to that winning feeling. He's a winner. So he fights every position where, you know, he doesn't adapt to a midfield drive. A midfield driver might go, that Gasly situation, let's pull back. I'll get him later on in the race. Where he goes, nope, I'm going down for Lando. I'm going up further up the track. I'm going for those top positions. I want to fight everything hard on this.
Which is kind of a fair enough mentality, but when you keep getting involved in incidents, you have to start to criticize it.
Absolutely, but that's where Max Verstappen got that criticism there in his career.
Yeah, and he's bounced back to now a very mature Max.
Absolutely, and I think we'll see that same maturity come in Charles Leclerc. I just think at the moment it's there, but when a Ferrari aren't in a car that can challenge for championships, this is probably the years to do it, if you're going to do it, because it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, okay.
It does, but Ferrari,
for the other drivers.
Ferrari aren't suddenly going to go, oh no, we're going to pull out of F1. This is far too expensive for Charles Leclerc. He keeps smashing the car up. Eh?
Look, if Haas can survive with Mazepin, Ferrari can survive with Leclerc.
Absolutely. For me, Leclerc is the best qualifier on the grid. I think he is at the moment. I agree. Don't forget, Charles also hasn't got the pace of the car that wins races. Something Max had from 2016. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what it is. It's a guy who's deeply competitive, wants to compete for the best positions he can, but not necessarily having the car
gets a bit clumsy
to match his aspirations.
And it comes back to the joke about will Leclerc get a penalty more, or will rain come when it's predicted? Because he doesn't get punished at all. It all kind of gets swept under the rug of first lap, anything goes. Even though he's got a history of taking out drivers on the first lap.
I don't know if the FIA are just trying to protect one of their young. I mean, I'm okay though. I don't mind limited Stewart involvement, and I actually don't. I know he's ruined Gasly's race.
I mean, it's just the fact that it keeps happening.
But I think the punishment was enough. As in, he ended up at the back of the grid. Yeah, but he had to earn for that. He got punished for it, didn't he? He lost his on-track position.
I just feel like if it keeps happening and happening and happening, you kind of have to go.
Well, you got awarded penalty points.
You need to be more cautious on the first. Has he actually?
Well, I don't know. That would be my one to go.
I don't think he ever has been given penalty points.
Wow. I mean, I know that was that state where Lewis Hamilton was at risk at penalty points. We were like, how is Charles not? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, Leclerc only caused Gasly's puncture, not a massive send. Yeah. I think it was just one of those unfortunate ones.
Still contact.
Yeah. You don't get penalties on outcome, but you get a penalty for the action. Yeah. And I don't think it was a massive... It wasn't aggressive. They were fighting wheel to wheel and go from there. He hasn't, done a massive send on him and taken out his thing. There have been much more penalty-worthy Charles Leclerc incidents. Like running around in Suzuka.
But the fact that they haven't punished the other ones that's why I'm feeling...
Yeah, absolutely.
Even the small ones now should be punished because he's got a backlog.
Zoe, is it just me or Charles pre-Austria 2019 extremely clean driver and didn't push his luck, but ever since that Max overtake where he said he had to be more tough, he's been hyper aggressive? Yeah, I think so. Because
there was that Monza race right after that where he had elbows out against
Lewis, pushing him onto the grass and stuff. Yeah, but that was hard fighting. I like that. I didn't think that was penalty worthy.
Well, neither of them got taken out. It's only when a driver gets taken out by another.
Yeah, sometimes that's racing though, isn't it?
Yeah, but when it's the same driver.
Yeah,
that's my whole point. I know. There are counter arguments. It wasn't big contact. It's the first lap. It's racing, but it's Charles Leclerc every time.
Yeah.
You got to run out of excuses at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's fair. He needs to change, definitely.
But that's Ferrari. Let's put them aside.
Let's go McLaren.
I wouldn't call him my driver of the day, but he did have a great drive.
Should we go
McLaren? Daniel Ricciardo. Let's
negative or positive.
Quickly go over Ricciardo. Stop the pain for Matthew D'Souza. Every race is progress for Ricciardo. every race he's building confidence in that car. Let's move on. He finished P13. Lando Norris, though, fantastic drive. Just to drive.
Oh, that's literally all we're going to do on Ricardo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lando Norris. He just keeps doing it. Just keeps banging these flawless performances. P5. Couldn't do anything more. He did exactly the same in France. Came P5. Just a perfect Lando Norris at the moment.
We always thought this would be a track he would be strong at because of his history at Austria.
His history, he got his first podium.
No, but his first year, I think, in F1, he was very good in Austria as well in 2019. Yeah. I think he was. And obviously in the Styrian Grand Prix last year, as well as the podium. Look, he's had a very small select because of his time in F1, but all the races he's driven at Austria, he's done pretty damn well. So I think history at Austria does cover Lando Norris on that one.
Yeah,
and again, another positive performance there with P5.
Just as faultless.
I think he just is a very good driver at that track.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything on Ricciardo?
Carol, I didn't realise he was a bit unlucky because he had power loss. I didn't realise that he had a power loss in race, so that does affect it. Matthew Suva, Norris is consistent. Ricciardo is not for some reason. It's difficult moving from one team to another, and I think it's a bit like Alonso found when he went to McLaren with Lewis Hamilton. McLaren is very much Norris's team. I think Sainz was already starting to feel that when he kind of went to Ferrari, which seems weird, but I don't know. Maybe he thought Ferrari are more fickle than McLaren. They'll happily switch between two drivers. Here we go. Okay, yeah, let's go with Sainz now. He's our guy. Screw Leclerc.
He's our golden child.
Screw Leclerc. He's out. Yeah, dump him. But yeah, with that Hamilton-Alonso relationship, Hamilton was, their golden boy for McLaren. Norris feels the most golden boy for McLaren since Lewis Hamilton went there in 2007. Like,
Zach loves him.
He fits everything the modern McLaren team wants. He's great on social media. He attracts new, younger fans. He's talented for one. He's super quick on track from there, but he's all involved in all the things that are going to allow McLaren to grow as a brand in the new world, as opposed to older driver. He's not just the race driver. He's what I would call a complete package. Yeah. And he's also someone they can slap a load of merch on and people will buy.
Yeah.
And I don't think so. But the more I see Pato being that way, the more I can see Pato ending up in McLaren alongside Lando. I want him to stay in IndyCar.
Yeah.
But if Ricciardo's performances don't improve and say Pato does go on and win the IndyCar championship, he'll be cheaper than Ricciardo.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
And also, they'll have a dynamic duo because Lando and Pato can get on anyway, and it's two young, talented guys. Hits an American market with Mexico as well. There, you go on that basis.
I think it'd be. I rate Pato highly, but I think it'd be super short-sighted from McLaren to get rid of Ricciardo 1 year in. Because I think if once Ricciardo gets that car and finds his place in the team, I think he's going to be super competitive. And he is easily, before his McLaren woes, he was easily one of the top 5 drivers on the grid. So if he just rekindles that, finds that again.
But Zoe was with me on that. Call me crazy, but how much does that Norris? Are we seeing another Ron Dennis Hamilton Alonso situation? And I think that could be it. I think Ricciardo has potentially made the wrong move. Not on track performance. Alpine obviously have gone backwards.
Yeah,
But I think Alpine loved Ricciardo.
Yeah.
They would have done anything for him. They would have, gone to war.
That was his team.
For Ricciardo. And he's now gone into Lando's team. And there is no guarantee that if he doesn't pick it up soon and it is performances on track, that he won't just be cast aside. And his stock, because of his age, is just going to get lower and lower.
Yeah. Time's running out.
His stock was highest at last season with Renault. And now it's only on a decline. And he doesn't want to end up being a Nico Hülkenberg.
Oh.
It's true, though, isn't it? I think, Ricciardo proved in his time he was a better driver than Hülkenberg. And, I think he is very highly rated on the grid. But...
Well, I said last year, easily he was top 5.
Yeah, he now doesn't have time on his hands.
Yeah.
And with F1 being a young man's game, all this young talent, it's an issue. It's an issue.
I have faith in Ricciardo.
I would love to see Ricciardo do well.
I think it'd be stupid for McLaren to get rid of Ricciardo 1 year in.
Potentially, but I think McLaren think bigger picture rather than just on-track performances, and also know within a team that you can only really have one star. He's not going to... They don't want to have a Mark Webber. And I know Pato technically would be another star, but a lot of people would look down on Pato coming from Indy.
Between Lando and Ricciardo, I think that is one of the best driver partnerships other than Sainz and Leclerc.
I agree, but I don't think Ricciardo is going to buy into being a number 2.
Yeah, okay, if they go down the route.
Well, every successful F1 team has to do that.
Yeah.
Because no one in these new regs... it could go wrong. No one in these new regs are going to build a McLaren in the 1988 where they could afford to have Prost and Senna because nobody else was close to them.
Yeah.
No one's going to be a Mercedes, Rosberg and Hamilton because they were so far that the mistakes didn't cost them. So if McLaren are a championship contender next year, Ricciardo's performances don't go, I can't see him settling for a number 2.
Okay, fair enough.
That's all I was thinking. But yeah, a good chat on McLaren, to be fair.
Carolina did say Ricciardo left Red Bull because he didn't want to be a number 2. There we go. There's McLaren. Let's go on to the top 2, Red Bull and Mercedes. Checo Perez, as we said right at the beginning, came in P4. They tried something different at the end to make the 2-stop work. Probably only a couple of laps away from making it work when he was hunting down Bottas. He was kind of the end of the race entertainment. Will he or won't he get Bottas? And he did it. So it was a bit of anticlimax. Yeah. Although Crofty was doing a great job building
Just a quick note, to go on you why they wouldn't drop Ricciardo. Apparently it would be 18 million to dump Ricciardo a year early. So yeah, I agree. Or if that's the case, they wouldn't do it. But yes, back to your point.
Checo, solid race. He got P4. That's all he has to do. Get P4. And if he can nick P3, nick P3. He kind of got all stuffed by that first pit stop where he was an extra 2 seconds in the pit. Came out behind Bottas. That was his race done.
Yeah, and it's fine margins, isn't it? Because a lap longer, he would have taken Bottas.
Yeah.
Because he got in DRS zone for the last lap.
He had 1 DRS, yeah.
Yeah. So he just didn't have enough, but you kind of feel with those fresher tyres, he would have been able to take him on that basis. And Perez, the thing is, though, he's doing what Red Bull needs. This is
P4.
why Perez signed him. That's why Red Bull signed Perez, and he's doing the job. He's consistently doing it, and it's not that Gasly and Albon are less talented drivers than Checo. In fairness, probably on raw pace, probably quicker than Checo. But it's just Perez's experience and also the fact that he's at a stage of his career where I think they've got him in the perfect time. He was about to leave the sport. He goes, you know what? I'm happy to be a number 2.
Yeah.
He is bought into that. He's like, I am more than happy to do my job this year to get the odd race win, to can regularly compete for podiums to add to that. And, I understand this is Max going for the championship, and I'm here to just do everything from that. Where Gasly and Albon would still be in that category of, I'll do that, but I want this to be my team.
I'm trying to prove something to myself. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Prove my own worth.
Yeah, and prove something else, where Perez is going,
absolutely loving life in a top.
I know what I'm here to do, and I'm really happy to do it. Yeah. I've waited for an opportunity all my career to drive a car like this, and I'm just going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Bam. Valtteri Bottas. Bit like Checo's race, uneventful. Well, all these top four, there isn't actually too much to talk about because they all were in their own little race. Bottas did, credit to him, he did pull off, even with the Checo mistake. You could go, most of that's on Red Bull, but Bottas did successfully overtake Checo with the overcut, wasn't it? One lap, he went 1 lap extra.
Yeah, weird spin in the pit lane, getting that 3 grid penalty, and that kind of stuffed his weekend because he out-qualified Hamilton.
Yeah, he did. He did qualify second, but I'm just focusing on the race here.
Sorry, it got brought up in chat, the weird spin in the pit lane.
He successfully overcut Checo, even with the mistake. He still had to do it. And then he held Checo off, forced Red Bull to try something different, and then he survived to the end.
Yeah, no,
so credit to him.
Because the commentary were criticising working his way through traffic, but he maintained the gap well enough, that he was able to get the job done. And it doesn't matter how close Checo was at the end. All it mattered that was Checo was behind him, and he did that. And Hamilton said, I think there's no need to really replace Bottas. And if he does performances like that, he at least gives Mercedes a chance in the constructors.
Yeah.
I think Zoe, I've noted your point about Charles and Ferrari, and we'll come back to that after we've rounded off the top two.
Because we're nearly there. Lewis Hamilton.
Brilliant race.
Great race, just the car wasn't there.
Did all he could.
Yes.
Did like Max did for most of last year. Drove the best he could get out the car, but wasn't competitive enough on the day to match Max Verstappen's Red Bull.
And to put Max immediately alongside Lewis, again, mirrored. Max didn't put a foot wrong, perfect race, but he was just in the quicker car, so he got the race win.
Absolutely. And that,
I think Toto said it's the first time in 8 years that they felt like they were nowhere in the race, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it is pretty incredible what Red Bull have
considering
done.
How strong Ferrari were at one point. This is the first time Toto was just confused about where the race pace was, or they couldn't do anything. So yeah, Red Bull dominant in the Styria Grand Prix. Will they do it again? Oh wait, final thoughts for Styria.
Overall, the race was, and this is difficult. You're a Max fan, so you'll be happy to see it. For F1, I feel it'll just be one of those races that we've had a great season so far, pretty competitive throughout the grid. So something like this, on a usually great track. We had it at Spa last year. It was a pretty uneventful race, and not every race is going to be a blinder in a Formula One season. It can't, because it makes you appreciate the really great races in a season even more when it comes. Exactly. If everything is at full throttle and amazing, you kind of lose an appreciation of what's there. I just don't want it to switch. I hope for the sport that Mercedes and Lewis get closer to Red Bull and it doesn't get a Mercedes style gap.
Yeah, so here's the talking point going forward is are we now going to get 2020 reversed with Red Bull dominating going forward? Toto interestingly said, another interesting comment in the post-race, Mercedes aren't developing anymore. They've completely stopped development. Maybe he's just saying it. And they're fully focused on their new technical regs. where he pointed out that Red Bull have got lots of upgrades. They
Mhm.
keep bringing in upgrades. So, because I was kind of being positive post-race, I was like, if anyone can fight back in a title, it's Lewis. He's done it a few times in his Mercedes dominance. But then that comment from Toto, I was like, eh.
Is the problem with the change of regulations? At some point, you're going to have to concede.
Yeah, obviously Red Bull, of course they're going to develop. This is their one big chance to win a championship. And Mercedes, obviously thinking longer term, they want to be fully set for next year.
Well, also, like you said, Honda brought a huge ton of upgrades, 2 years worth of engine upgrades into 1 year because they were jumping ship at the end of the season. So ideally, they were putting everything in. The Mercedes, so good over the years in their development, have actually targeted tactical phases just to make sure they capitalize on certain sections. So it makes complete sense that Mercedes are gone. It makes, as much as we would love to get 8 in a row and for Lewis to get 8 this year, as much as we would love that to just completely dominate this set of regulations, no one touched us, no one beat us in the championships. They've already got the record for most consecutive constructors and drivers. And I don't think anyone's going to match that in years to come. They may do because this is Formula One. You never know. But I doubt anyone's going to be able to get to that level of dominance again, because I'm pretty sure the sport will try and mix things up to stop that. And I don't think we're going to have... you never know.
Especially the budget caps.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's where a lot of Mercedes' success has come. They've had the largest budget, along with Ferrari.
And they've been able to outspend everyone.
Yeah.
So I think they're thinking bigger picture, which is we want to be competitive in the new sets of regulations. We will concede this one title because we've gone through that. The championship isn't over. Mercedes, it can all be a bluff. They're the biggest bluffers in the game, they say.
Do you need to do something? It just said it was going to switch off.
No, or maybe.
I'll do something. You stay there.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, I'm staying here. But yeah, I really hope for the championship, because as much as I'd love to see Max win, and he's a top talent, he definitely deserves to win, a championship. I want to see Lewis fight, because it's been a brilliant battle. And part of the thing that's made the season so enthralling so far is because it's been half a dozen of one, 6 of the other, and just kind of matching each other, fighting. Mercedes was stronger here, Red Bull was stronger here. Who's going to capitalize, get an advantage? If it turns out more like Austria and Max is able to maintain a 4 or 5 second race and dominates the rest of the year, yeah,
it's going to be a weird one. Because we've all been waiting for, well, maybe not all of us, they're obviously diehard Lewis Mercedes fans, love to see it keep going. But I'd say most F1 fans would have been hoping for a challenger from one of the other teams. And now we've kind of got the extreme version of that the challenger has become the new Mercedes.
Yeah.
And absolutely dominating. But we'll see. Mercedes, I keep thinking back, Spain and Portugal, they had the best car. Dominated those races.
Yeah, there is still so much of the season to go. There is still so much this season to go. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of twists and turns to come.
But if they have finished the development, that worries me.
Yeah.
Because Red Bull are going to go full out for this title.
If it's not a bluff, it's an issue.
Yes. They may be great next year. But it's going to be a struggle. Toto wasn't defeated. Toto still believed. Obviously, you still believe. But they need to bring upgrades to that Merc.
Yeah. Right, let's tackle Zoe's point. Who's more at risk to losing their Ferrari seat? Charles, who's lost his 2 biggest supporters, or Carlos, their new driving machine driver matching pace in his first year? No doubt they want Mick.
Who were Leclerc's supporters?
I don't know. I would. Yeah, I'm not sure actually. I can't remember. I know obviously the guy who died as he went into the team was there, but that wouldn't be within this thing. But maybe within the Ferrari rejiggle of they're doing. Charles lost some support there, but I don't know. Ferrari are going to be Ferrari. They're pretty ruthless.
Well, before the season, Sainz was my biggest surprise of the year. I thought Sainz would survive a year, and that would be it. Sainz would be out the door.
I think Sainz has to maintain where Charles, I think they see there's a guy who in a competitive car is going to regularly win races, but also Carlos Sainz can do that.
Yeah.
Can Carlos Sainz compete up with the best? Maybe.
For some reason, I just can't see Leclerc leading that team.
I can't, but the only thing I would say is a curveball is his relationship with Vettel. And I think Leclerc had a really good relationship with Vettel and saw how they treated Vettel. And when it wasn't too long ago that Vettel was the Ferrari golden boy. And that quite easily could happen to me. So if an opportunity comes for someone else, and I think it's competitive, I may feel it might be safer to jump ship. Because like Zoe says, Mick Schumacher is in the wings.
Yeah.
Ferrari love a story. And as much as Charles Leclerc's story is brilliant, Mick Schumacher is the one. If Ferrari can win a championship with Mick Schumacher, that trumps everything.
Yeah, true.
That's like the money winner.
And Mick. Oh, that Haas is terrible, but I think Mick is actually doing very decently this year. I know we're not saying Mick to go Ferrari next year. I presume we're thinking Mick could be in that Haas for the new regs, but he's consistently battering Mazepin. And although he was the better driver in junior, so you kind of expect it to convert, he's still been very consistent in the Haas.
And when the Haas has been there, he was racing with Latifi, wasn't he? Where was it? Can't remember off the top of my head.
Spain or Portugal, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was one of those ones, but I think it was Portugal. Felt like it was there, but yeah. Because let's be honest, Mick is surprising everyone who knows how he drives. He's normally rather awful in his first year.
Yeah.
True. He has adapted to F1 a lot better. Maybe his driving style was always just long goal game, being the best training for Formula One and just having to get through the ranks of junior series, that's what it is. But he managed to pick up titles along his way.
Yeah.
So he's linked to Ferrari. Oh, absolutely. Mick has the name and he's linked to Ferrari. So I think Mick Schumacher puts in an interesting one. But I wouldn't say Charles is as nailed on as the Ferrari golden boy as maybe popularly believed.
True. And that's probably mainly because how good Sainz is looking at the moment. Because you're going, Ferrari actually now have two very good drivers. It's not just Leclerc. Sainz hasn't come in to be that number two. Sainz is actually looking like he could be their number one if need be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, true. Leclerc's not nailed on. I don't know which one would leave first.
I don't know.
I can't.
I don't know. It just seems whatever opportunity.
It's an interesting point.
It is definitely a good discussion one. But looking ahead to this weekend, the last race in our first triple header of the season, we're back at Austria again. I can't see two poor races at Austria in a row. I can't see it. I feel like if Gasly was in the mix, maybe the midfield would have been more interesting and Leclerc was in the mix. There might have been more fighting from there. Because remember, the majority of Leclerc's race was working his way back through the field. Yeah. Sainz was working his way up through there.
Yeah.
So Norris was kind of on his own because nobody who could challenge, the people who could challenge him were pretty much near the back. And by the time they got into position to challenge him, he was already had too much of an advantage. For that position. So the midfield battle could be interesting. I feel like it's just going to be, unless something mechanically goes wrong, another Max win.
Yeah.
And likely Checo P3.
Or even Checo P2.
No, I think Lewis.
Do you not see it?
No, I think Lewis still has the edge.
Remember,
in the way that
this race,
Lewis is driving incredibly at the moment.
Yeah, you got to remember though, this race, obviously Checo's qualifying. He got stuck behind Lando for a few laps, and he was also on the soft tyre, which meant he couldn't maintain the pace in that first stint. If he was on the same tyre strategy and qualified P3, P4 ahead of a McLaren or Ferrari or whatnot, I reckon with the pace of that Red Bull, he could beat Lewis to P2. Although, like you said, Lewis is...
I think Lewis is driving too well.
Yeah. But I think that Red Bull is just so strong around the Red Bull ring.
I agree. But I think Max and Lewis are just in a category of their own at the moment.
Yeah,
true. Cars. So I as much as I love Checo, I think his qualifying lets him down, and I don't think he'll be in the position to challenge for P2 next week. But obviously I could be wrong. And also within a race, you don't know, as soon as those lights go out to checkered flag, there are so many variables that could happen that could lead it to be a more exciting race. But I think F1 is relying a little bit at the moment for some form of chaos. If they can have a two-stop, I think I saw from late breaking a tweet going, multi-stop strategies lead to more exciting races. And we see it regularly in IndyCar. You know, I don't think they have any one-stop races.
No.
Because of refueling and the tyre strategies.
Yeah.
But even with the tyre strategies, I mean, I suppose, yeah, they could make them last a little bit long, but the refueling definitely does add that extra element of it. But we've seen it with F1. You know, when people are going on 2-stop, 3-stops strategies, that's when it kind of gets exciting. You know?
Exactly, yeah.
And F1 needs to find a basis of having that. Yeah, if they had 2 tyre compounds instead of 3, it may make it interesting, you know, to really kind of push on the the primaries to go the longest ones and having where to use the alternates in it. But who knows what's the best one? They've been trying to figure out tyres in F1 for too long. Maybe they've just messed around with them too much.
Maybe
they just need to let them be simple, get a clear understanding, because they pretty much change them every year. They're changing something with tyre pressures, you know, regularly on occasions.
Wasn't that point from way at the start?
Yeah.
About what's going on with the bendy rear wings and the tyre pressures?
I don't really know.
Well, the rear wings, they've been banned. Teams had a flexi wing that around the corners, it gave you more downforce. It basically alternated between corners and straights to maximize the speed. But that's stopped now. I think that's now been ruled against the regulations. All the teams agreed. And then the tyre pressures is Pirelli have put in new measurements to accurately find out if the teams are doing anything dodgy. I don't think any regulations on the actual pressures have changed. It's just the actual measuring tools pre and post race.
Okay.
Have changed.
Jacob, I think sprint qualifying will help by getting rid of the Q2 tyre rule. And I agree. I think that if there's one positive, and there aren't many positives of sprint qualifying, freedom of choice of tyres, I think if that's the case, because obviously they'll all have to start on the softs in the sprint qualifying race.
Yeah.
If they get freedom of choice of tyres throughout the entire grid, I think that can only be a positive thing, because then teams will be keeping it secret, tyre blankets, and then reveal on the grid. They won't be changing. Will they match if someone's on those? I know they would have done the calculations, but you can still have that variety in strategy, I think, for freedom of rule, and also getting rid of the mandatory usage of 2 compounds. Could just see medium, soft, different stages of, you know, the race. It could definitely lead to some more entertaining ends of it. Maybe by over complicating things, trying to make things more exciting by mandatory use of 2 compounds, they are actually hindering it.
Maybe.
I think F2 do have freedom of choice of tyres, don't they? I
think so.
Yeah, I don't think it's qualifying, because you sometimes get some guys going out on the hards. They only have the 2 compounds.
Yeah.
So, and that works in, the junior series. So maybe that is the way to go.
But I think that's about it, isn't it?
Yep, I think that rounds it up. It's on the hour. That's usually how long we sit around and talking to you lot. So thank you, as always, for being so active in chat. We appreciate it, as always. If they haven't already, Stephen, what can they do?
Like, subscribe, and ding that bell.
We do appreciate all your support on there. We hope you look forward to the Austrian Grand Prix this weekend. We'll obviously be here tomorrow for rounding up the F1 Fantasy and looking ahead, obviously, to this weekend on the F1 Fantasy as well. Believe a couple of drivers on streak, so play around from teams in there. But thanks, Carola, for being involved. Thank you for kind of watching there. Thank you to everyone in chat. You've been brilliant discussion points. Thank you for Zoe, I think, for some interesting discussion points around Ferrari as well. But Great questions. If you're watching this afterwards, let us know your thoughts in the discussion topics. We'll always look to kind of reply to those comments. And yeah, it's been a good one. See you later, guys. So for now, UF1 fans, keep racing.